we're live. Welcome to MixLife episode 4. Today we're just going to be kind of hanging out with some special guests. We got Adam on board tonight with this fixed internet.
Hello, everybody.
Dave Bellows, also known as ID10-T. You got to talk in order for them to see you, though, Dave.
Oh, I do. Okay. Well, hello.
Look at that fancy fucking head. So we're just here to hang out tonight. We don't have any real strict format, so if you guys have questions, make sure to leave them in the live chat, and I will be sure that we address them. So, Dave, you haven't been on any of the shows yet so far, but
I have not been on any of the shows. I feel terrible because I was asked to be on In the Mix, and I told them that I didn't think that was a good idea because I thought my crappy old laptop was not going to cut it as far as audio visual. And they believed me, I guess, and you didn't. You made me try it out.
Well, so we had pretty, casual standards for all that kind of stuff. I don't expect everybody to have like an HD camera to come on and talk about stuff. Like, we're not here to talk about fancy cameras. I'm here to talk about juice, and
there you go.
You know a fair amount of things about juice. Not that they don't talk about juice either.
The time is also right. Sunday afternoon, I have a couple of young boys, and Thursday night I'm trying to put them to bed. Half the time I can't even watch that show live because of that. So.
Yeah, I hear you. I had to adjust my schedule for the Thursday shows too, but that's neither here nor there. I'm glad to have you on, and
thank you.
I'm glad I got dibs this time, Wayne. Just so if you're watching. All right. So, Dave, you've been at this a while. I've seen you in Reddit probably since around the same time I started hanging around Reddit, about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago.
Not that long, actually. 2 years ago this month.
Has it only been 2 years ago this month? And is that when you first started mixing, or just when you started looking on Reddit?
Oh, it was 2 years and 1 month when I first started looking on Reddit, and 1 month later I was mixing.
Nice. So 1 month later.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen you grow a lot, coming from the very beginnings, and with really simple submissions, and now you're a moderator at the DIY e-juice subreddit.
Mm-hmm.
And you took first place.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how it happened either. It was a terrible idea, but I mean, given our other choices, I suppose it was the lesser of two evils, right?
The lesser of a few evils, maybe.
And you won the DIY or die competition with Longing. How are sales going with the
I know how
packs?
that happened. I worked really hard on that. The sales are very good, and Bull City is very generous with what they're giving us as far as the kickbacks on those. But the last time I checked, I was losing in sales to that dog recipe, whatever it is, the one that tastes like dog food.
I think you're referring to Concrete River's Dogma. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That's good. I like the competition there between you guys.
Well, the relentless chilling, he's just so good at it, and most people already have most of those flavors anyway, so they're not gonna order a pack of them. It's all good.
Hey, that's all right, man. It's a great recipe. It's really delicious. So if you guys haven't checked out Longing, it's on ELR, and you can buy those fancy flavor packs and give this bald guy your money so he can get some hair.
I don't think that's how it works.
Excuse me. That was a surprise. Usually I'm quick enough to mute my mic first. So yeah, that's great. What have you been working on lately?
Well, I've been working on stuff for Mixers Club. Every month there's a theme and kind of a prompt what to do. Sometimes it's you can't use these flavors. Sometimes it's you have to use these flavors. Sometimes it's just a really broad sort of theme, and everybody has a little bit of fun with it. It's florals this month, as you know. And
I do know. I'm excited for my.
Yeah.
You should get my package today, in fact.
I'll check the mail tomorrow.
Yep.
So yeah, I've taken over the distribution for that this month. It'll be the first month of that. So hopefully it won't drive me insane.
So for those of you guys in chat that aren't familiar with the subreddit, there's a subreddit called r/Mixers Club, and it's a group where you can submit your recipes in 10 ml sample bottles with no nicotine. You do a little write-up in the sub during that month's submissions, and you mail them out, and you receive back the one sample from each of the mixers that also submitted recipes. And the goal is for us to critique each other's work and just to kind of share alike with where we're going, and it helps with development and just getting some honest critique from things that you want to try and get out there. And it gives you some nice reviews and some good feedback for where you go. And I mean, you get delicious juice in the mail for free. Well, for whatever you pay for shipping, right?
Right.
So it's a pretty great deal if you're interested in developing yourself as a mixer and getting feedback from other like experienced mixers. It's really great, and I highly recommend it. This is my second month doing it, and it's been a lot of fun. So I sent 2 recipes to you this month, so it should be pretty. Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome. I dropped the links in the chat for everybody for the longing pack, and then the
thanks, Adam.
And the Mixers Club too, for anybody interested.
And real quick, a super short shout out. JFM Development noticed that my mic sucks pretty bad last night while I was on Jennifer's show, and has offered to send me a spare that he has for me to use so that you guys can hear me a little bit better in the future, or I don't drown everybody out so badly. My super ghetto headphone, the duct tape holding it together. That's nice. Well, so I've been mixing. I've got a bunch of new projects going. I just got a sample in the mail from Ckemist for his recipe called Aura Forest. I didn't have all this stuff to mix it, and instead of having me order the flavors, he sent it to me. It's like an absinthe base with some forest fruit and some other florals. And it's really super nice. So if you guys have all the flavors to mix it, it's on ATF and I believe ELR as well. So it's excellent. It's called Aura Longing. I don't know if I can get this close enough. The print type on this bottle is tiny, but it's really super good. What about you, Adam? You've been kind of AWOL for 2 weeks, but I noticed you dropped a new last week.
So today I dropped a recipe on all the flavors in ELR, and it's called Smoke Dog, and it's one I've been working on. It's just personal stash, and then it really came together well, and it has Cinnamon Crunch Flavora at a 1.5, Flavor Art Marshmallow at a 1, sweetener, and this one, the piece that I used in it, I'm trying to remember what I liked, but I'm using the Flavoras kind of where they're useful, and then taking what I've been mixing, my mixing style, and then just bringing over like a single ingredient rather than trying to do Flavora all, and that's helping me find like a better mix. So it's really good, and smells like you get a leather sort of tobacco-y start from the Hangson tobacco, and then it has like a nice kind of vanilla back note. I did a Vienna cream Flavor Art at a 2. And then the vanilla pudding, that's what this is. So it's got the vanilla pudding in it. And you actually are the one that suggested the vanilla pudding. And this mix sucked till I added that. And it really brought it around. And it was really good. It is good. I've been vaping it all day for like 3 or 4 days. So
yeah, actually, I think I like the vanilla pudding more than Cap's CV1. Maybe. It's pretty close. It's like a faster steeper, and so I don't have to wait 5 freaking weeks for it to be where I want it to be.
I added it to my test mix at a 3%, and then instantly it just took the whole mix to like a different note. And it wasn't really like pudding, but it was just like a different cream bakery note that I hadn't really come across before. And so that night on the fresh mix, it was just everything pudding. But then in the morning, it really came together. And then a day later after that, it was just like, everything worked, where the tobacco mellowed a bit, the cinnamon, it's a lot better, that cinnamon crunch. It's similar to like Cinnamon Toast Crunch almost, the flavor. And they recommend it around like a 1 or a 3 for people using it in recipes, but I put it at a 1.5 because I didn't want it to be all cinnamon. I just wanted the cinnamon to be like a back low note to complement the tobacco and the different things. So I'm really happy with it. And then this is, one of I'd say it's my 6th recipe I put on all the flavors. So I have like 90 on ELR, and then so I'm slowly converting over to the dark side, I suppose.
Well, I like the format ATF better. I talked about this last night on Jennifer's show, but I think that for serious mixers, it's a more open. I don't know. It's more user driven in that it's not so much of a popularity contest, and like the quality recipes make it to the top and stay up there a little more. But on the same side of that, it's easier to get some more recognition, like where you're not just your recipe is buried forever because it only got 2 stars, like 2 5-star ratings ever, and then it just stays down at the bottom forever because it doesn't have 150.
Yeah, I mean,
they have the different sorting algorithms for the front page, so it's a lot easier to get people to try your stuff.
Yeah, ELR. I mean, it's free, so you can only bitch to a point, But then,
no, I don't. Yeah, I'm not knocking ELR.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying me and me too, because I try. Like, I want ELR to be badass with like a mobile app and like top mixer things, and like if you could somehow merge the two and they had a baby, it'd be perfect, because they're both elemental of being there, but they both have things that I kind of like. Like if I'm gonna mix for myself, I'm going to ELR because I can like recipe, check the notes, check the percentages, make sure I'm not crazy, dial things back, adjust things, adapt it real quick, and you can do that, I suppose, on all the flavors. But it's already muscle memory on ELR, so it's more like
you're used to it.
Yeah, so that totally, and that there's something to be said for that. Plus, I mean, ELR has a much larger data user base, so you're broadcasting to a much wider audience, and with that comes the problems, that you're always going to have with big groups of people, so you're going to get some ass in the trash, and like that's just how it goes. It's not a big deal. I think it's fine. You're going to get some schmuck that says, "Oh, Adam, fuck that guy. I see a recipe from him. I'm going to go 1-star it just because he's a dick."
Yeah, I get that.
No, it happens to me too, and maybe not to ID10-T because everybody loves him. But
I'm a shout out who did it to me because I have a platform. Pascal from DIY Pour de Nul French site wanted to throw 1-star on my recipe, bro.
Nice. So JFM Development is talking about how Flavora flavors are a lot more complex than like traditional offerings, and I wanted to talk about that because I agree. In that they're generally speaking a little more, they're a lot more nuanced individually, but I think that makes them very strong as a single main note in a recipe. But I have struggled I did try to make a few like all Flavora exclusive recipes, but the thing about having an incredibly nuanced flavor is that it doesn't necessarily translate well into like a traditional recipe building style, because you have to build around that one, it really works better if you build around the one really nuanced concentrate with some other simpler concentrates.
Right. When you have more than one that's complex like that and you start putting them together, what you're going to wind up with is just this cacophony of flavors that's not what you want.
It gets muddy, and
it needs some simple things to go with it.
Yeah, so I feel like they're the best or most effectively used as a primary, like a centerpiece, right, for your creation, or just as an additive to make the centerpiece of your creation stand out that much more. But I haven't been very successful trying to do like all just straight up. I think it works well with other companies, and that's kind of one of its strong points. Is that they're strong enough, standalone generally with some kind of really interesting notes that you won't find anywhere else, but they're unique enough that it can kind of hinder recipe building when you're working with other really complex flavors. So they really complement simpler flavors better to me, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really tired, guys. I'm on very little sleep, so if I start to just like
mumble,
drift off into space, like, no, I don't think that Flavora sweetness gunks coils at all. I've been using it in place of sucralose for like 2 weeks now in just a few recipes, and it's not sucralose sweet, right? So it's sweet, but it's not like that sugar smack on your lips sweet that you would get from like straight sucralose.
Do you know what it is? I haven't looked into it yet.
It's a proprietary mix that they won't release exactly what it is.
You should not be using it at like a 1 to 2%. Like that shit is really, really sweet. Like we're talking
it is super.
Treat it like Alpine strawberry, like a 0.1%. Start at like a tenth. See where it goes. Because I think I did 0.25% and it was sweet as hell. And I was like, too sweet. So it's something. The thing I found with Flavor is it's kind of like bakeries and creams. Maybe they're not the best at, but the tropical fruits, they're just grand slams. Like up and down, their fruit selections there's some gold in there. And then some of the other things in there, the tobaccos I love. Like that whole line of tobaccos let you go all the way from the spicy kind of Turkish tobacco all the way across to just like an ashy cigarette, sort of with those they have one called just cigarette. And my favorite's the Tatanka tobacco. Tatanka. I spell it wrong in ELR. There's like 4 different ones that are in there. They're all mine that I've spelled wrong, and it's like the one Flavor Tatanka, you know, because there'll be quick recipes private. And I'm just like making Lars's life a little harder.
Well, you know, I mean, if we don't make Lars do some work around here, I mean, who's gonna, right?
Right. Did you guys see the FDA thing? That guy is side talking his vape business so well. He's like, hey, I don't know, I'd be interested in the science behind, but he referred to it as tobacco cessation device, which I loved. The FDA, it was the FDA hearing where they're grilling the new FDA director, right?
It was just a nomination hearing, so he hasn't officially been appointed yet. That was his like
right.
Like that's where they try to break him in, you know.
But I liked the way he didn't answer that question. I liked it. Had a lot of positive connotations to it versus we're gonna slice and dice everything we can, you know. So I liked that.
I'm gonna remain sort of kind of quietly hopeful. I don't want to get my expectations up too high. I don't think there will be a complete reversal of the regulations, but I think that there's a strong chance that they could be renegotiated now.
Yeah. Or if you've been operating, I think they're gonna just like do a modern date as the PMTA type of date and just say, all right, it's past today. Because that's, if you look at the revised, I guess it was the Cole Bishop Act that they were writing, the revised version said this goes into effect the day the revision goes into effect. So it kind of gave a new grandfather date of whenever they pass this new one. So if they're able to get something like that through where any e-juice operating, any recipes out type of thing up till like present day, that changes it a lot. You know, there's a lot more people in the game, or at least a lot more, even for us, for our stuff. It's like we have a lot more stuff out there, recipes that are public, you know, which I think there's an argument that if you make your recipe public versus even bringing it to market, it's similar in that you have like a copyright of mailing it to yourself almost type of thing. Like you've publicly put that recipe out as an official e-juice, you know. But I don't know much about that stuff. So
a traditional or a not sweet custard blend, but it was right at the end. So this guy Sub Vapes here asked about some not overly sweet custard blends. So the thing is that all custard flavorings are a little bit sweet. Like you're not going to really get around having it be kind of sweet. But I found that Inawera custard, which has kind of a slightly burnt sugar note while still sweet, is kind of leans on the less sweet side. And Flavora is just straight custard, not the vanilla custard, isn't quite so sweet. But what you can do is really just look at some of the other creams that don't have a lot of sweetness but have a lot of body. Like Vienna cream isn't ultra sweet, but it's really thick. and then you want to get a little eggy, so maybe you throw in some cap golden butter, which isn't very thick at all or very sweet at all. So that really helps kind of give yourself some depth. And then from there, you can kind of add what you like to make it your own. So you can go with some, Flavor Art oak wood or Flavora wood spice, or some of the other like kind of niche like savory flavors. Cardamom isn't very sweet, but it adds a lot of nice texture. Or cinnamon Ceylon by Flavor Art is a really non-sweet cinnamon, but it's a little bitter. And then if it's all too sweet for you still, there is, the Bitter Wizard from Flavor Art that'll cut back on the amount of sweetnesses in your juice. So if you have a juice that you like that's really nice, but it's just way too sweet, like you can add a few drops of Bitter Wizard to a 30 ml, like just like 2 drops, and it will cut back the amount of like sickly sweetness in it, which is really helpful if you're really into savories. I hope that makes sense. I've never actually done like a custard that wasn't kind of like a sweet bakery type, so but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, you could use RY4, and you could use, like he's saying, the oak wood. So you want to take the sweet notes back a bit so you can dry up the mix. So you could add biscuit, you could add oak wood. I've never heard of one to make a non-sweet mix though, but I've made a lot, and that's the RY4 double. We'll do that to your mix. And what else does that? It's if you're not putting any sweetener in, and then like fresh cream's another good one that just has no sweetness, but it's just gonna add a little creaminess. And but I wouldn't use vanilla custard Kopel and shit, because those are real sweet. And then things are sweet that you're not thinking about, maybe like marshmallows got a sweet to it. There's a lot of them that they hide like a little sweetness in it to make it taste better, and you might not know that. And as you're adding what you think is just like a cream or something, you're adding a sweet cream, maybe. So.
Well, you, Dave, you got any input in the non-sweet creams or the not super sweet creams that maybe we missed?
I was thinking you were right about the FA fresh cream not having any sweetness to it. That's not something I've ever wanted to do, so I hadn't really thought about it. It was an interesting question.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever been asked about that. Every once in a while, somebody will throw me an oddball about savory flavors, or how do I make my juice taste like grass? And I just say TFA green tea.
Yeah, green tea. TFA, they'll do it.
Or Mary Jane, if you want to get real weird. Although it just tastes like pine needles to me.
Did you see Annie 6 Strings did a Mary Jane recipe?
I just saw her put that up like last week, or I just noticed it not that long ago. It hasn't been that long, has it?
No, it was like a week or so. But I thought that was a bold move that she.
It was pretty bold.
She's centered on that.
The best single coil build for a Hadley. I don't know. Just stick a fat Clapton in there if you can fit it. I've never worked with a Hadley, so I have no idea what kind of build space it has. I've been using the same vector for like a year, and it's pretty good. I just like it. It's good. I don't have anything like special to say about it. It's a simple dual coil, whatever you want. Otherwise, for testing, I use a Derringer or my if I can get this without knocking any bottles over, my Royal Hunter.
Both of those are really good.
Yeah. I love my Derringer, but sometimes it's kind of a pain. The screws are stripped out, and I haven't gotten around to ordering new ones, so I haven't been using it as often. I hope that helps you get to your non-sweet custard idea. Good luck in your mission, and you're always welcome to message us. I may not get to it right away, but you can message me on Facebook or Discord. I probably answer Discord faster sometimes. I don't know. Sometimes I'm really bad about it. So some of the things I've been working on is kind of getting ready for springtime stuff, right? So, kind of putting away the bakeries and the heavy creams for a while, and breaking out the fruits and light florals. Not the super musky florals, but some honeysuckle and cherry blossom, hibiscus thyme. I'm going to test Flavora hibiscus maybe today, I think. It smells really musky, but I think it's got some potential.
Smells like leaf, like a leaf.
Well, real hibiscus is like a flower and it tastes really green and like that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that. I think it'd still be useful. I know it's not your jam, Adam. That's all right, but that's why
I have been trying to put honeysuckle into bakeries.
Nice.
the bakeries. That's interesting.
Yes.
Do you have Flavor Art lavender?
Do not.
You should get some. It's probably the most workable like floral for bakeries. It works really well in like light bakeries and cakes and pastries and stuff like that. Nothing
Just like actual lavender.
Yeah, just like actual lavender. It's probably one of the most like true to form floral representations on the market right now.
I'm just worried it'll taste like grandma.
It doesn't. I mean, if you use too much of it, it'll taste like grandma. I mean, if you've tasted your grandma and that's what she tastes like.
I hate my grandma. She tastes like lavender.
I mean, I'm just anything that I say to that in response will probably get us banned from YouTube forever. So
Flag.
But yeah, so lavender is really cool. You can kind of bend it a little bit if you mess with it and get a little more rose out of it than lavender.
What'd you say? Flavor Art?
Yeah, Flavor Art lavender. I think that's the only lavender. Maybe Salubrium has one, or however you say that. Salubrium.
I say Salub Arome.
I don't know. Do you do that bad French accent, the back fake French accent every time you say it?
Yeah.
I picture Adam brushing his teeth and just saying that out loud in the mirror with like
Salub
with it
Arome.
dripping out of his mouth. Yeah, FA lavender is really cool. It's one of my favorites, and it's really super versatile. It can do really cool things for citrus flavors. It really doesn't have any bad pairings, except maybe chocolate would be weird. But I've never had a really like super unsuccessful mix unless I took it too high. You'll see when I think one of the recipes I sent you for Mixers Club, the Serenity.
The mango Beauregard?
No, Serenity. The tea.
Serenity.
The tea has lavender in it.
Yeah, what recipes did you guys send each other? What were the florals?
I sent up the mango Beauregard, which is a violet mango candy. And then Serenity, which is the lemon lavender tea.
Nice.
Well, you know, James, he says it reminds him of air freshener or a toilet cleaner. If you take it too high, that's definitely what you get. But at a lower level, you get a light sweetness that's not very. It's just kind of like uplifting and refreshing. It's not really like what you picture, like the whole like. And I know I get this a lot too. The whole air freshener or toilet cleaner, grandma's perfume counter, all those things. I hear that all the time. But the reality is that the flavors are vastly different than what we perceive or what we would traditionally perceive as those flavors or imagine those flavors tasting like, because we've been inundated with overly scented cleaning products all of our lives and aggressive mothers who scrub everything until you can't breathe in the house. Right. So it's definitely different. I encourage you to give it a try. It's really, really mild. You can almost barely even pick up the actual lavender because it's really about what the effect the volatiles have in the final mix and not always about like tasting like actual flowers. Does that make sense? Like honeysuckle doesn't taste like flowers, right? Like it doesn't. It tastes floral, but only in sort of a vague sense and not in any specific sense, right? It doesn't taste like you're chewing on flower petals or anything like that. It's just got.
Have you ever had honeysuckle? Have you ever ate one?
Yeah, I used to eat thousands of them.
Yeah, so they do it. If you've ever ate one, honeysuckle is really close to that. They do a decent job. So it's just that hint of floral and sugar. So it's good. So like when I use honeysuckle, like, or any floral, you got to think of those as like a 2% type of thing, not a 10%. And that's where you might be going wrong with the flower stuff is if you were to do like a 10% lavender, it's going to taste like a Febreze. But if you look at how Kopel will write, and then even longing in those things, is they're more hints. Well, not longing, but generally they're hints of the flower, or the flower builds as a backing, and then there's a sweet note, and there's almost like a candy note usually with florals, or like a lemonade, floral lemonade, or like a a floral grape, something like that, where you're adding layers where the flower isn't the only thing. And yeah, I've had a lot of success using florals, but that's because I treat them as kind of like a finishing note rather than the whole thing.
Yeah, there are some cases where a floral flavor will work as a main note. Like I don't know if anybody ever tried I don't know if you ever mixed up Jazz Hands. I released that like last year, but it's like super floral forward, right? It's like heavy duty lavender and vanilla. And freshly mixed, it smells and tastes like grandma's perfume counter. But like 3 or 4 days later, like the vanilla cream really like pushes it all down into the backside of the flavor. And it's still kind of lavenderish, a little bit more floral than I think a lot of people might like. But I'm into that kind of stuff because I'm weird, and I can taste it. Like, and I can't taste strawberries and I struggle with some other like kind of traditional fruits. Like, or I just get bored of them too quickly.
Yeah, so that's important. Like what you just said, where if your first day of these mixes, when you're messing with these strange flavors like a hibiscus or honeysuckle or cherry blossom, it's like awful the first day. It's very perfumey, especially if you use like Inawera stuff. Same thing. You just get like the initial note is like a perfume. But I like to say like 3 days. It's like after 3 days, whatever's there for those first couple days goes away. So even though sometimes people are like, I want to shake and vape, the reality is like even a shake and vape is going to taste more proper with like 48 hours of time. Excuse me.
Well, I was super excited when I saw your recipe go up as the winner as a honeysuckle cream. And I think it's kind of created the sort of launching board for floral flavors, which has given me like a much bigger forum. Because a lot of times, like I was like that kid in like the corner, like screaming up and down, saying, look at these. And everybody's like, oh, God.
I thought you'd approve of that.
What is that guy doing over there with the flowers? He's fucking weird, man. So it's been nice like having that change. I know that, it's just a trend that'll probably fade into the background, but I think that, I'm okay with not being the mainstream strawberry and creams guy or whatever. Like, and I appreciate even if people don't stick with florals, I think it's a good experience for new mixers to work with florals because it teaches you an attention to balance that you won't learn anywhere like nearly as quickly. You have to have like a strong attention to counterplay in a recipe with floral recipes, or it will go very badly very quickly. So if you can be successful with floral recipes and make something that tastes good, and then everything else after that is much easier. Like I can poop out fruit recipes all day long that are good and balanced and and reasonable and could go to market probably, but spending time putting together a floral recipe definitely takes a lot more labor and a lot more attention to detail.
Did you see the submissions thread for the Mixers Club?
I looked at it like 2 or 3 days ago, but I haven't looked today. Is there something new in there?
Well, Adam asked what I had sent or what I was planning on sending, and that's where it is. I have made a honeysuckle lemon pound cake.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And a honeysuckle mango macaron. I hope I pronounced that right. It's definitely not macaroon. That's the coconut crab.
Yeah.
What did you use for the mango and then the macaroon? What did you use?
I used FA almond, cap sugar cookie, and of course meringue for the cookie base, sort of for that, and then FLV mango, then of course honeysuckle, and a little bit of FLV cream, which is kind of, I called it the cream filling, but really it's more of a blender.
So I discovered a sort of similar experience with the Flavora cream and mango. In the mango Beauregard I sent forward, like the creams really kind of act as sort of like this rounded finish to the mango, but they don't really add any creaminess to the recipe itself. They almost sort of help it keep like a creamy candy body, like a Starburst, kind of like how you would use vanilla swirl in like the old school Starburst recipes that you see on the ELR. Like a Flavora cream really kind of works that same way, but without adding the vanilla note. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I use the Flavora cream and milk and honey, I think, to do kind of a similar effect. And I think it worked really well. I think you're going to be surprised. Mango and violet share a lot of aroma volatiles, both in our concentrates and in real life. So they're like a really natural pairing, and they kind of merge into one flavor as opposed to being just mango or mango violet or just violet. So it's just sort of this kind of new weird fruit. It's not bad. It's very candied. Like I'd said before when we talked, it's a purple mango, if that makes sense.
Yes, I call my macaroon mango blossom with the honeysuckle and mango because of the way that they merge. I read somewhere that mango blossoms are actually edible. I don't know what they taste like, but
I don't either.
What Dave, how did you come into mixing? Like, what was your story for getting in? You said you started about 2 years ago. What's kind of
almost exactly.
What's your background in Canada?
Someone asked me to make something or try to make or try something from this company. She said it was really good, and I had to try it. So I went there, and it's a vape shop that's got a couple of stores in Dallas. And I went to their website to order this stuff, and I noticed that they had to make your own flavor. So I said, okay, that's interesting. I'll do that. And then so it was like pick one flavor, pick the main flavor, pick a secondary flavor, pick an additive. And that's what it was. And you ordered it, and they sent it to you, and you paid way too much for it. It took a really long time to arrive. And the mixes that I chose weren't very good. But I was like, hey, if they can do that, so can I, Why can't I do that? So I Googled and landed on, and I was already familiar with Reddit, so I had deleted my account. That's a whole another story that we don't want to tell today. But I was already familiar with Reddit, so when I found DIY e-juice, I was just like, oh, hey, there we go. I read everything there was to read there for a month before my stuff arrived, and then I started mixing.
That's sort of similar to how I started, and there was a lot of really big names active in the subreddit back then. If you remember, Botboy was there all the time. Fizz Mustard was posting or commenting almost every day. And those guys were to me like huge inspirations. Fizz Mustard especially, with everything that he started releasing, sort of pre-Artifact, and then walking into his Artifact line. His work is nothing short of the top of excellence, and his attention to kind of obscure profiles are really probably what were a big part of what led me to being the weird floral guy with all the earthy flavors, florals and spices and stuff like that.
Botboy was a big influence on me.
He has a really fantastic sort of direct approach to traditional flavor crafting. He did a really great job layering. Did you ever try his Vicious Vanilla?
I didn't.
It's the only vanilla recipe that I've ever had that's just a straightforward vanilla cream that really just kind of knocked me to the floor. And he had a pretty successful online business selling both concentrates, and he was the first guy to ever do one shots. I think that was 3 years ago he started doing one shots. For Gunner's Gourmet Gold or Gold Gourmet e-juice. I think he still has his website active. I'm not sure. I'll have to check after this.
Yeah, that's for me as well. Fizz Mustard. I just found his stuff and then obsessed and read everything he ever posted on Reddit. I just went to his profile and just started reading every comment, every
stalker,
stalking the hell out of him. I tried to message. I messaged Artifact. I hit him up on Reddit because I was just like, dude, this guy he knows what he's talking about. And did you find that when you started, Dave, that it was were you good right away, or in your mixing?
No, I wanted to make a pina colada, and the first one tasted. I'm not shitting you. It tasted like a pineapple lollipop dipped in battery acid and suntan oil.
So it wasn't magic off the bat. Did you?
No. And none of my recipes are either. They usually go through 10, 15 versions before I'm finally happy with them, and often version 1 is pretty nasty. Although I've gotten better now to where I can tell that, you know, is this actually going to work or is this a bad idea? And I'll toss the bad ideas instead of just trudging on. But yeah, they're still not good usually first time around.
What was your first mix that you were like, God damn, I might be good at this, or I should maybe release this, or what was your eureka moment as a mixer?
It was when I finally got that pina colada done about 1.5 years after I started.
Nice.
I actually remember that you won the recipe of the month contest that month.
Yeah, it was the recipe of the month that month.
That's awesome.
Nice. I've still never won that. I've never gotten more than like 5 upvotes in one of those threads.
That's because I downvote your recipes everything.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Somebody does downvote my shit every time.
Somebody does that.
There's some dudes that do that. I'm not salty about
it. Their whole account is just downvotes.
Those guys can all downvote me, but none of them have one-shot lines of their own, so I don't give a fuck. You know, sometimes the subreddit can be a little catty, but I still like it. There's a really good group of users there that are active, and there's a lot of really great information. So if Reddit's your thing, you know, the DIY e-juice sub is still a really great source of information. You know, just got to take a little bit of the bad with the good, but that's all of Reddit. There's no part of Reddit that's free from that, I don't think.
It's all affected.
Ed Hannes says we're always 1 or 2 ingredients shorts. Well, welcome to the DIY life. Like that's pretty much kind of the way of things in general. Like I have like 800 flavors right now, and there's still tons of recipes that I'm short 1 or 2 of almost every time. Like all the time.
The best advice I'd give is some things are substitute. Like the tobaccos I use, you can't substitute, but like everything else you can sort of get away with interpreting it your own way. So if you're down 1 or 2, I suggest that, you know, if you want to taste it the way we make it and kind of see the way that we think a final juice should be, right? What's our sign off? Then order the juices the way we do it, because we don't put that up because that's what we have. We have a ton of juices. Like if I wanted to use Vienna cream, or if I want to use vanilla swirl, it's not because that's the one I have. That's because that's the best one. So the whole sub thing, I mean, everybody asks every time we post a recipe on ELR. I mean, it gets out of hand where they're like, can I sub this, that, or the other thing? My advice is either take it with the confidence where you're like, all right, this isn't what they're made. I'm not going to bitch if I don't like it, but I'm going to make this my own a little bit. And that's a good way to start mixing on your own, is just a little tweak here and there. I was reading in Jennifer's group, somebody did a little modification on a tobacco sub, and now it's like their favorite recipe. That came from them being willing to, you know, get out of the comfort zone. Like, be willing to throw away like 100 mils of juice to make a flavor that you're going to make 500 mils of. You know, that's how I kind of see it, is that DIY is so inexpensive now. You can afford to trial and error a little bit. But if you know, okay, Southern Smoke, butter cookies, we offer all these as one shots in UK. So if you're like, damn, this is going to cost me $30 to try the butter cookie recipe, that's where the one shots come in, is that you don't need to do that. If you want to, like, you can go to the chef's flavors, go to e-juice makers, you buy the whole line, you're going to have like 600 to 1,200 mils of juice at least. And you won't have to do all the flavor purchasing. And then if you want to get a little deeper, you can go get the flavor pack concept like Bull City is doing. And then with that, you know, then you're mixing the flavors. But if you're too short, I know you're going to be too short, because I'm, you know, shout out to Too Short, but you're going to be short on a couple, because we're using crazy shit that we're finding. You know, like I have 2 or 3 alternatives to that milk chocolate for Inawera, because I have like 12 chocolates. You see what I mean? So these different different flavors. And when we release these recipes, it's like a distillation of would be the best way to try this. And then other times there's throwaways where we're just vaping it and we're putting it out. But if you see us putting stuff on all the flavors or DIY or die in vaping home mixers, like when I release a recipe on ELR, it hits like 700 people's email address. So I don't just public up every recipe I do, because like you said, there's people out there that don't have the flavors or they're going to spend the money on it. I think about that when I make a recipe, that there are people out there that you're going to drop $20 to try this. It shouldn't be trash. And so everything we're putting out, whether it's Kopel or myself or any of the other e-juice makers crew, we're always thinking about that, is that, you know, we want you to feel really good at the end of the day if you mix one of our recipes. Like the last thing we want is you to spend 20 or $30, wait 2 weeks for all those flavors to come, mix it up, and we didn't do the work in the first place so that it's not really harsh or that it's, you know, not overly sweet or whatever, you know. So that's really, you know, the thinking behind it. So that can I sub 2 ingredients, or what would I say would be the best one? Do the one shots, sub and be creative yourself, or, you know, be willing to bite the bullet and try. You know, he designed Longing that way for a reason. Like that was how,
because I wanted to win that contest. That's why I designed it that way.
What was the thinking you went into with that? Like let's talk about that, because that was stressful as hell for Kopel and myself. As we went through that contest, you know, all Capella stuff drove me crazy. Like that was tough. The TFA Capella, because I'm used to Inawera, Flavor Art, Flavor West.
Yeah, they gave us some hoops to jump through for real.
Yeah, it had me stressing. So what was your thinking getting to that last round that had to be more stressful than all of it, and then now you have to deliver?
I just didn't want to embarrass myself. That was the main goal, because you know, put something out there that's terrible and they will call you on it for that final round or any of the rounds. Really, I just wanted to, you know,
and then
represent
you
myself
also,
well.
you know, you went ahead though, and you wrote like almost like a novel. Like that little paragraph is like a poetic novel that I think equally affected everybody. Like even the judges were affected by it. So it was interesting. Like, how did you decide to do that and add that part of like a very detailed fiction kind of feeling of emotions?
It wasn't fiction.
It's real.
So I had some special attachment to that sort of profile. So I hoped it would bring me good luck for the contest. I don't know.
Well, for me, it
had to be something I really cared about, and so that's why.
Yeah, it definitely added like a threshold of authenticity to the idea of the flavor, right? Like the idea of the recipe, and sort of like to like the overall experience. We talked about this on Wayne's show the last time we were on, about whether or not it's possible to kind of take mixing to like this sort of like higher art threshold where we're more about creating like a total experience than we are just making, you know, flavors that taste good. Which, I mean, there's a strength in that, just making flavors that taste good, but being able to kind of like simulate a cerebral experience that's different than just, you know, candy that reminds you of when you were a little kid, right?
Right.
And I think with Longing, you really knocked it out of the park. Kind of made a showing that definitely that a flavor, a juice can both just be good and delicious on its own, and it's still sort of offer this sort of like artistic experience, right? And like influence your emotions in some capacity.
It was a deeply personal and emotional thing for me, and I didn't know that was going to come across to others very well, but apparently it worked.
It certainly did, yeah. So I mean, mad props for that. I definitely, I probably mixed 5 or 6 bottles of it now so far. It's pretty good. And coming from me, that's kind of a big deal, because I really don't hardly ever mix anybody else's recipes unless they just send them to me. So even Adams, I don't mix Adams especially.
Oh
no, it was good. It was really good. I was definitely very impressed. So great job.
Thanks.
And I hope that it has some continued success in the future. Maybe gets you in the door selling some one shots maybe sometime soon, or, developing more for clientele. Have you considered or started doing that yet?
No, I just make stuff for me and share it if I love it. After I've worked hard on it, I want to show it off.
That's great, man. Would you be interested in doing some of that in the future?
Probably, yeah.
Probably, yeah. A little siding. I mean, for us, like the chef's flavors and the e-juice maker website and app and stuff, like the residual income is nice, and it's what helps us keep putting out content regularly and often. Like I wouldn't be able to take this short time, out of my schedule to spend so much time creating content if I didn't have that small amount. And it's not a lot of money, but it's enough that I can justify taking an afternoon here and there to make a video or write some articles or something. So it helps us, like, in the long run. I think it helps us. And if DIY mixing ever gets when it starts to move forward, and if the market grows the way we hope it will, that'll put us in a good position to maybe reap the benefits of all our extra labor in the future.
Yeah, if you would like to help us convince our girlfriends that we're not just fucking around, feel free to buy some chef's flavors from chefsflavors.uk.
That's .co.uk. Yeah,
.co.uk.
Buy our one shots so that our girlfriends don't kill us, please.
Yeah, so they know that this is a job.
Yeah, when that flavor pack check arrives, that's gonna help.
Yeah, exactly. See, like it's not a ton of money. I mean, I can kind of guesstimate where it probably landed you. I don't know how many batches they put up for the flavor pack, and I don't know what kind of cut you're getting, and I don't need to. I know it's not going to be the millions, right? It's not going to pay the rent. It's not going to, keep you in juice for 10 years or anything like that. But it does help, and having like that a little bit of like just a little bit of extra padding, really helps us take a little extra time to do other things, to continue mixing.
They're being pretty generous with it. It's obviously not something that they're making money on. It's part of the prize. It's public relations. It's comes out of the advertising budget. I'm sure I might try to approach somebody about something like a flavor pack that is actually profitable, which would mean I get very little out of it, obviously. But that'd be cool. People would probably purchase that, because then they're getting not a one shot, but flavors that they could use to make other things after they create the recipe that it was put together for.
Right, exactly.
And if that could be offered at a little discount to make it worth buying them all at once, it could take off.
No, I think that you've got a solid idea there. The flavor packs, I think, might be the way to go for my Star Wars poster. Yeah, my last few podcasts were like super bare walls because I don't know. I guess I kind of have a Spartan mentality, and I never thought I'd put a second mind to decorating. And my girlfriend mentioned that I looked like I lived in a dark, sad little cave, and I should put some stuff up behind me so that it doesn't look so gloomy.
Because I do live in a dark, sad little cave, babe. I
do, right? With the fucking evil cats. They're not making any appearances today, but they're sleeping. They're lazy fat.
Hey, Dave, do you have anything, like, you got a forum here? This is your first live kind of chance to talk to people. Is there anything that you want to discuss, maybe that we haven't covered, or just kind of something you want to say to all the mixers listening? There'll be a good number by the time everybody watches and listens to it.
Buy my flavor pack? That feels gross saying that. I can't do that.
That's good.
You guys, I don't know how you guys do it. I can't do that.
It takes a little practice. I'm pretty new to the podcast thing too, so I've only been doing this.
We're doing new fun things on Reddit now. I'm trying to get things a little bit more active and involved and fun.
I feel bad because I haven't been posting notes in the flavor of the weeks as often as I would like.
Yeah, that's my little baby.
A few of them. So if you guys aren't familiar, on the DIY e-juice subreddit, ID10-T creates a post where they discuss specific flavor profiles every week and kind of go over a collective flavor notes for a specific theme, like mangoes or passion fruit, or what's this week's? Is it passion fruit this week, or is that next week?
Isn't that next week?
I think it's next week.
Yeah.
So we just sit down, and take 5 minutes to post about your experiences with a specific profile, like
This week is apricot.
apricot, right? I don't have a lot of experience with apricot. I have some, and they can be really useful for bending flavors, but I don't have anything really super specific to contribute yet.
They are also all stored on a wiki where they're where you can go back and research them easily. So they should be a pretty good resource for people between that and the individual flavor reviews.
Yeah, so
There's a lot of knowledge there.
If you have the MixLife app and you go into the flavor wiki and then you scroll all the way to the bottom, I have a secret link down there that goes to the whole index of flavor notes that they've worked so hard on. So it's hidden at the very bottom. But if you're looking for what he's talking about, which is like it's the ultimate index of flavor notes ever created, like
it's all there in the sidebar. A lot of Reddit users like to yell about the sidebar and how about you shouldn't post if you don't read the whole thing. But
read the sidebar.
Yeah, so read the sidebar. Or
did you hear about the monthly clone challenge?
No, so I saw something about it, like a comment in another thread, but I didn't see the actual monthly clone challenge.
There is now a monthly clone challenge. If it keeps getting the response that the first one got, I'll keep doing it. So
that's great. So what is that? Tell us a little bit about it.
Every month, there's this clone recipe request thing that we have on Reddit that's been there for a long time. That usually people go and post and beg about. Can somebody please make a clone of this or that, or tell me how to recipe for this or whatever? And those they get crickets. Nobody answers those things, or they do, and they just post to that French site with all of the recipes that, from what I hear, aren't very good. This was an idea that somebody gave me. It wasn't my idea. I don't want to take credit for it, but I decided to run with it. It'll work out. And what we're going to do is select one recipe from the previous months or one commercial juice that people are asking for a clone for. Pick one clone request and then highlight that and challenge everybody to try to make a clone of that. And to post your reviews, post your ideas, post your earlier version recipes, your revisions, thoughts, whatever. Just post all that stuff and share it and work together. And there's a little bit of competition to it because I'm going to try to put up a kind of like a token prize, not a large prize by any means, but sort of a thank you for doing this prize to an MVP every month. Doesn't have to be somebody who perfected a perfect clone because you might not be able to do that in a month, but somebody whose efforts really went above and beyond as far as getting that juice cloned.
I think in most cases it's almost impossible to clone a juice in only a month.
I think it is, but I think
you have a ton of resources and time.
Yeah, these threads should be a resource that people can point to when somebody does want to clone for that juice. Like, oh, you want to clone for that? Look at this monthly clone challenge thread from whatever it was. You got all these ideas about how to clone that. Have a look. And some people might dig into it and really just keep going, beyond the month.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's what I intend to do.
That's a great idea. It sounds like a lot of fun. I used to clone all the time, but I kind of stopped because, well, frankly, it's cost inhibitive, and there's not enough benefit to counterbalance the cost. Like, you usually have to go through a ton of different flavorings, plus keeping a sample of the juice on hand. So it gets a little expensive to clone juices. So generally, I stopped participating in a lot of those because it just got expensive, to try to clone all the time. So I've got my handful of clones that I really enjoyed working on, like Placid and a few other things.
And we're also encouraging people to not only try to clone the juice. You don't have to try the juice. Use the description of the juice as an inspiration to make your own. Follow that profile and make something cool out of it. So it's really just it's a thing for the community to sort of gather around for a little while.
Well, great, man. Well, I had a lot of fun today. A lot of good information for everybody. Adam, you got any last words? I think we're going to get ready to wrap this up here. We're hitting our hour time limit. I got to get some sleep. I got to go to work tonight.
Yeah, just thank you to ID10-T or Dave, aka
Thanks
Dave.
for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome. Great information. And then just where to find us. MixLife app, MixLife podcast every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. DIY or Die podcast network. If you got iTunes or you listen to podcasts on your phone, you can listen to that. And Chef's Flavors, we have those concentrates. Be sure to pick up his longing recipe. It's an amazing recipe. It's at bullcityflavors.com. It's a pack. You can buy all the flavors and then follow the recipe to mix it up. And just have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you back here next week. And then thanks to Kopel for hosting all the bandwidth that we're smoking through. So.
Thanks everybody for watching. Dave, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this all week. It's been like my my guiding light through a busy, shitty work week. It's super great to have you on, and we'd be interested in having you on again when you're free. We enjoyed having a talk, and it's nice having a new perspective to things. So I will talk to you all later.
I'd be happy to come back.
Thanks for watching.